Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Fitter and Faster Coaches Corner. I'm your host, as always, Mike Murray. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by the 2023 ASCA and Fitter and Faster Age Group Coach of the Year, Rod Hansen. Rod, welcome to the program. Where are you joining us from this morning?
Huntington Beach, California, out in Orange County.
Awesome. And talk to us about the team that you coach.
I coach Irvine Novaquatics in Irvine, California. We have like 4 different sites within about a 15-20 mile radius and about 800 swimmers.
Yeah, I was just out there for juniors. I love that William Willett Pool Complex. What a fantastic place that is.
Yeah, you know, we're hoping the city council is discussing adding another 50-meter pool. Right now we're down a pool. The filtration system broke, so we're making it work.
No kidding. So would that other pool be in that same area, or would it be in a new location?
It would be in the same area, you know, where the main competition pool where the soccer field is behind it. They put it there, possibly a parking structure. Looks pretty promising.
Yeah, it looks like that would be an awesome addition to an already existing framework there. So I can't even imagine what it would be like to have 3 pools. Like, it's going to be one of the best outdoor complexes in the country.
Yeah, I mean, we're fortunate that we're in an environment that is aquatic friendly. Right now, our site's full. We get bumped out all the time with water polo and other activities, and the high school district uses it. So we think, once we get that 50-meter pool, our problem will be solved, but everything will be crowded.
Yeah, of course. You know, what's neat about that facility is so many good memories for so many coaches and teams, because so many great meets have been there. It's, you know, it feels like we're creating a history at that facility, like there used to be in Long Beach and other famous pools. That site has now got a reputation as one of the, you know, the most famous, probably at the junior national level facility.
Yeah, it's a good environment. Like I said, we have a supportive city council and community that likes it. So,
well, I like taking a trip to Irvine every once in a while. It's not bad. Sometimes it certainly beats the weather up here in upstate New York. Well, Rod, you were the recipient of the 2023 Age Group Coach of the Year award this year. Congratulations among many great finalists. And you had a special guest that you actually brought with you to the ASCA clinic this year. And I didn't get a chance to meet your dog. Tell us a little bit about your dog.
I've got a couple border collies. He's actually outside. It's a good dog. Take him everywhere.
That's awesome, man. I love it. That was so cool. And I wish I had a chance to meet him when I was there, but I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off. But talk to me a little bit about your philosophy as an age group coach.
First of all, it wasn't my award. It's our entire staff that won that award. I just happened to be the figurehead, but we're fortunate because we have a staff that has a long tenure with Nova. We've all know each other. We get along, you know, of course, everybody has their differences, but we all seem to have one common goal. And the common goal in our philosophy is to make it a fun environment for the kids to train. And we try to, we're really interested in, on the age group level, in developing stroke technique rather than pursuing, attaining times or records. But it kind of goes hand in hand. If you develop the good skills, the underwaters, the catch, anything that helps promote a good, successful program.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
And what do you guys do from a coaching staff standpoint when you talk about focusing on stroke technique? Break that down for us a little bit. How do you communicate what you want to see from your athletes?
We want to be consistent. We want to go to a meet where our kids are coming off the wall, not breathing off their breakout stroke, where you can identify, hey, that's a Nova swimmer, that they're disciplined, just different aspects. It sounds easy for me to say it. It's not that, but it's a lot more difficult to implement it, to get kids. So you have to be really stringent, but you don't want to be so stringent that it's no longer fun for the kids. So it's a balance, but just having good technique, good turns, good, breakouts.
And what are some cues that you're giving your athletes throughout the practice? Is there a set that's designed, that's dedicated to work on these things specifically, or is it more or less just making sure that you're observing what your kids are doing and then making corrections as you coach?
Make corrections as you coach. That's a good thing, but also point out the positive things. I think as I've gotten older and done this for so many years, if you compliment somebody and let the group know, wow, she did something really well off the walls, or thank you for doing what we asked. I think that's a boost. That in the past I used to it was all correction. Hey, you took a breath off the wall. Hey, you're crossing over with your arm on freestyle, those kind of things. But I think if you point out the positive, it has a good impact as well.
Rod, everybody's a little bit different in the way that they define age group coaching. When you think of age group coaching, what are the ages that go with that moniker?
I think the ages are all the way up to high school till I leave college. We're all age group swimming. I mean, you can't label someone as a swimmer and a defined swimmer when they hit 14, or any age for that matter. But my thought is age group swimming should be just fun, positive, and kids leave with a good memory.
There's no doubt about that. So how much time do you guys spend on training IM or stroke specific? What does your week look like in terms of the way that you train the 4 strokes?
For me personally, I coach from 9 to 14-year-olds. It's every day. It's all IM. We don't have specific stroke days. I was a terrible breaststroker, and I avoided it as a kid, and would get I'm age myself. I'd get disqualified because back then, if you put your head underwater, you were done. And I look at how my swimming career, I'd swim the IM, for example, and have a good lead always going in the breaststroke, and everybody would run me down. And I want to make sure these kids that I coach embrace all the strokes, regardless, because they can get more specialized when they go to college.
Boy, you're singing my music here. This is something that I love to hear. I love when people who are in our profession think of 18 and under athletes. It's age group. You knocked that one out of the park. And boy, we train a lot of IM here at Victor Swim Club too. And it's always good for me to hear and reinforce that we're doing the right things here. But talk to me about kicking, Rod. What does kicking look like in Irvine Nova from those age groups? What are you doing? What are some sets that you like to do? Share with our coaches what you like to do for kicking.
I just going back to IM real quick. I always at the end of the season look at IM results. That's the first results I look at, see how we're doing as a team. Kicking, a lot of underwater. Got more, especially short course. Over the years, you have to be a successful underwater kicker to be competitive in short course swimming, or long course for that factor. Well, sometimes we'll go into we have a teaching pool, and sometimes we're impacted with water polo games, and we have to utilize that. We'll use the widths and just do underwaters. But kick sets, incorporate them. They're short. I don't do long kick sets, but they're short, and they got to be sprint kicks, because otherwise I think you're not utilizing your time effectively if you're just doing a long kick set and it becomes a social kick and kids are kicking side to side. So I think if you're doing kick sets, it's got to be specific. You got to let the kids know what the goal is, and it's got to be short and fast. And we never will kick anything more than a 200. I like to use a 200 kick for time without fins under 3 minutes, because my philosophy is, most races are 200 yards and less. You should have, a sprint kick the whole 200.
I love it, man. Legs feed the wolf, right?
Yep.
That's great. And the underwaters, to be able to have that teaching pool, does that give your kids a chance to really hone in and focus on what they're doing in terms of undulation underwater?
Yeah, I mean, we don't utilize it that often, but when, pools go down, or we're forced to, it's a shallow 3.5 foot pool, and you can do a lot of pushing off the bottom, creative things that makes it fun for the kids. But yeah, I use the example for widths, just short, underwaters. If they have a 10 yard width of a pool, that's a really good training.
Yeah. Talk to us about the equipment that you utilize in your age group practices.
Personally myself, I like to use paddles and pole. When I swim, never use paddles with the kids, and I don't know, and pulling. I don't know why. I'm kind of re-looking at that if I need to reincorporate that. But equipment wise, short fins. Yeah, I don't use a lot of equipment. We do just a variety of drills, but mainly just I don't do a lot of distance. The yardage piles up. It's not a short yardage practice, but it's not a 3-500 type practice, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I know, a lot of coaches always get sick and tired of the question, but I think there's a lot of value and merit to understanding the way that people train. So when your athletes are really getting after it, maybe you're at the peak volume of your season, what do they do in a week?
Probably 5,000 to 6,000 yards
Mm-hmm.
practice, and we practice 6 days a week. Sometimes less. Probably not that often. 2 more. My kids keep track of the yardage more than I do. I have always a blueprint of what I want to do each day, and then I deviate from it. We have coaches, our staff, that have a specific written workout planned, and I have a blueprint. But working with 9, especially 9 to 11-year-olds, if something not going, you need to be able to pivot quickly to identify. Okay, we have days where the kids all of a sudden aren't reading the clock, and they're good swimmers, and they're all looking at each other for cues, and you have to adapt to that and figure out some way to get them back on track.
But one of the things that I talk to age group swim coaches a lot is it's really hard to have a bad day as an age group swim coach, because the kids come in so happy and enthusiastic. They haven't reached that cynical teenage age yet, where they can be complainers and things like that. But that age group, 9 to 11, always a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm. How do you channel that into a really good practice?
Yeah, like you said, there's rarely bad days, and you keep the positivity. Try to engage each swimmer to find out what they did outside of swimming each day. Yeah, it's an easy age group to coach, because they're going to drop time just regardless of what you do. So you just have to keep them engaged. You're an entertainer, I guess.
One of the things that's always resonated with me that Dave Salo says, the greatest athletes in the world are the athletes who slow down the least. And is that something that you think about when you're talking to one of your swimmers about technique, or where you want their hands and feet during practice?
Yeah, but the kids I train, we have to do some things slow just to get the technique going. But there's always a time where I want them to race in practice as well. I usually will design a set in my mind that we will spend like 10 minutes just working on the skills that I want to see the swimmers do. And then we'll finish up with like 5 minutes with a little bit more rest and fast swimming, and make it a game. And it's easy with 9 to 12-year-olds. You can find a lot of different things to do.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, in terms of their competition in that age group, what are they looking at in terms of how many meets they go to throughout the course of the season?
We go to about 1 meet a month. We're fortunate, like you said, we have a nice facility. So a lot of our meets are in-house. We run inter squads, and we can kind of manage the timeline. Our goal has always been to make it palatable for new parents when they come in, to not be sitting their first experience with swimming, sitting for 6 hours at a meet for 3 races, and 2 of them might be back to back, and then you have a 2-hour delay. So we try to find creative ways for that. We usually attend, we have our regional, our orange set, our Southern California Swimming Championship meets, once every 4 months within our LSC. And we try to do 1 or 2 travel meets a year with the age groupers.
Well, that's awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun. And, and I know that those travel meets in their early years of development are super important for building team culture later on. So I imagine that's a really fun experience for you all. You know, Rod, you mentioned something that stuck with me there, and that was you don't want your parents having to sit through those 4 or 5 hour long session meets. We have a lot of those here in the East Coast just because of pool space and availability, as you can imagine. But I think a lot of coaches across the country right now are thinking about how can we make the competitive experience a little bit more palatable for parents whose schedules are inundated this day and age with so many different things, or just simply with work on the weekends. Have you guys considered that at all? I know you said you run a lot of in-house meets. What's your philosophy on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's something we always are wondering. You know, I think we're starting to pivot a little bit, not too much, but offering 1-day meets as opposed to 2-day meets. We have a back to school meet that we do every year when we come back from our August break, and it's usually 2 weeks into the season. And for the first time this year, made it 1 day, limited to 50 shorter events. You know, it wasn't a full meet. Just kind of gauge where the new swimmers that are coming into our various groups are performance wise. And then we also did a family appreciation event where we had we have a great snack bar. You guys know that from junior nationals, and they provided lunch for the swimmers and their families. And I think it went over pretty well. And we divided up in 4 different sessions. So specifically people were in for 2 hours and then they had a lunch. And then also in the dive pool, we had a inflatable, course, inflatable like slide for the kids to play with after the meet on their own. So it was a fun event.
That sounds so forward thinking to me, especially in terms of bringing your parents in. Talk to me about how you communicate to your families, your values as a coach, your expectations as a staff. How are you communicating that to the Irvine Novaquatics family?
Each of our coaches send out weekly emails discussing the practice schedule, because we have to deal with we have a lot of user groups, so we have to deal with a lot of changes. We have parent meetings several times a year. I have mine actually tonight for the fall season, and we hand out just the schedule and expectations, and try to keep the line of communications open.
And when you're talking about your expectations, do you set up any boundaries between coach and parent communication? Is there, don't text me, don't call me? How do you guys manage that? Because I think that's a really important thing right now for young coaches who are just coming up in the profession to understand, how do I balance this role where this day and age I'm accessible all the time, right?
Yeah. It's a good thing and a bad thing. I generally, I don't know if I've ever said my boundaries. I won't answer texts or emails after 9:30 p.m. I'll usually do it in the morning. That's pretty much the boundary I've set on. And it just, but it's pretty easy. I try not to let emails or texts linger, but that's the only rule I have. It's just
Sure.
After 9:30 get home. I get home around 8:30, 8:45.
Yep, sure.
Unless some pressing issue.
Yeah, of course. And how much do you guys rely on your parents for things? I got to tell you, your parent group did a wonderful job hosting juniors this summer. They were so hospitable, so friendly as soon as the coaches walked in. How do you guys develop parents who are willing to commit that amount of time and energy to something?
No, they're amazing. I mean, from parents that have been on the team to new parents. That's not my corner. That's like Kim Hostry, our general manager. She organizes that and puts the right people in place, and that's coaching at its finest. Even those parents, to make them, not to begrudgingly come in and do it as a chore. I see that too. That volunteers are really happy to be there, and I don't know how to answer that one because it is unique. They're good.
You guys did a tremendous job, and best hospitality room in the United States this summer was there at Irvine.
Jeannie Tong, yeah, and we host a lot of other events. We hosted U.S. Masters Nationals. We put on the regional Special Olympics, and it's outside the team, and the parents still step up and do that. It's really incredible.
Irvine's had such a long history of competitive success in the United States and internationally with athletes who go on to swim at the national and international level. What is something that you think is unique to your program that lends itself towards developing successful swimmers?
Uh, it's the environment we live in. I mean, it's getting expensive out Southern California. We're paying $7 for gallon of gas this week. But the stability, I think the school districts are good. People that live here pretty much stay. So we don't have and we have an influx. Sometimes kids coming in, but we don't have an influx of kids moving around. So just that most of the kids that I've coached, majority of them, probably 80%, stay with the same elementary school, same high school, all through their career. So I think that's a big plus for as a coach to know that you got a young community that's going to provide a lot of good athletes, not just in swimming, but we have Orange County and Southern California have a lot of other venues.
Oh, for sure. And it's easy to stay, enthused and energized in that sun and with all the activities and being so close to the beach. I mean, I went down to Laguna on one of the off days, and man, it is such a special place out there. But Rod, what do you think you're most excited about in terms of the development of our sport in the last few years? What do you think has been a game changer maybe for within USA Swimming that's really got a lot of young people coming back into the sport? We took a hit in COVID, but what are you excited about for our sport?
I think just with the social media and the media, the exposure, the kids I coach, they know the athletes at a lot earlier age than they would maybe 15 years ago. The minority representation in our sport is gotten a lot better. Yeah, so I think it's kids enjoy it too.
Yeah, man, you and I used to have to wait for Swimming World to come out, and like every 3 weeks, and then we'd comb through Swimming World, and that was our social media.
Yeah, they're watching races before while I'm coaching. They get the results before I do.
Do you guys ever have any of your alums come back and talk to your swimmers?
Yes, we try to. Like Jason Lezak's children swim for our team, so that's fortunate, yeah, we since COVID we haven't had a real awards banquet, but we pivoted like another thing to promote team unity. We usually do in December. We're fortunate the last 2 years we've done that. The weather's been like 70 degrees and sunny, but we'll have just a pool party day where we provide food. Our snack bar provides food for the kids, and we have all the fun equipment that the bounce houses that the city of Irvine provides, and that's been our award banquet. But in the past, we always bring in a speaker, usually an alum.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
and
so cool.
like Michael Cavic's come in last year and run some swim clinics for us, so we that way.
Yeah, and the athletes obviously when they're walking past the competition pool on the back wall there, you have your list of Olympians and national teamers, and that helps build and drive the culture too. How you
more names?
Yeah,
we haven't in a while, so we need to do that. Step up and do that.
Yeah, for sure. Do you guys do anything in terms of dry land for that age group, 9 to 14?
Yeah, we're not doing bands or weights or anything like that, but we typically we have about a half hour, 20 to 30 minutes before we can actually utilize the pool with the high school. Irvine High utilize it till 4:30. So usually we will do a lot of ball games, just eye-hand coordination type stuff,
Sure.
Stretch the kids. And that's a time, not so much just as dry land, is just to kind of talk with the kids and see how their day was going and kind of connect with them. But we're fortunate. We have outstanding weather 90% of the year, and we're surrounded. Our facility at Willet is surrounded by a park that's not underutilized, in my opinion. There's no club soccer teams or anything going on, so we have it to ourselves. We don't have those fields reserved for us, but we utilize them. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's awesome. And they're right there next to the parking lot and next to the pool. So that's easy access for you guys.
Yeah.
So Rod, when we think about some of the national teamers right now, some of the athletes who may represent the U.S. team heading into Paris, who are you excited to watch? Who have you kind of been following, and who do you really get behind when the U.S. travels to international meets?
All of them. I don't want to really name anybody specific. I mean, Ledecky, all of them, just Team USA.
Absolutely. For sure. It's been great to see, in my opinion, as a club coach, it's been great to see some club athletes making the Olympic team. And
Yeah, I always root for the 15, 16-year-olds.
yeah, all day. All
Yeah.
day. That's kind of where I was going. That's kind of where I was going with that. But I mean, to see what Ron's been doing out there in Vegas has been great. Getting some young people.
Yeah, the Sandpipers, and it's amazing watching what all the teams are now looking at what he's doing and trying to emulate it. But
That's
he's
right.
got it. Those kids are great.
Yeah, it's so fun to watch. And
The culture
yeah,
he's made, it's
yeah.
we're all looking over and going, what's going on over there? Because these are, Beckham, man, all of them are just young kids. Katie Grimes, it's good to watch.
It really is. It's so fun to watch, and it gives. I think for any club coach who's thinking to themselves like, "Oh, I'll never get an athlete to that level." It takes time. You got to make a lot of mistakes. You got to have a little bit of success. But once you kind of figure out your formula, you can do some really good things. But it's not going to happen overnight. I see so many young coaches wanting to jump right into a upper level coaching position or work with the best group. I think you start out with those 8 and unders, you're going to learn a lot of lessons. Do you agree?
Yeah. You look at Ron Aiken; he gave a great speech at ASCA 2 years ago. Just how he developed. It didn't happen for him. It didn't happen overnight, but he had a plan, a culture, and it set forth.
For
Yeah,
sure.
it did. It's always I've had some really good years of coaching, and it's not me. It's the group of kids that you got, and getting them to buy in to your philosophy, and you get a group of successful kids. It's gonna raise the entire group team up.
Yeah, team culture, and when an athlete holds his teammates accountable or her teammates accountable to a standard because they know that standard is fun, you're going to have a lot of success. So, do you talk to your kids specifically about how you want them to be great teammates?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of an example, but we just want to be not so much teammates, but be respectful of each other. We want a culture where everybody wants to be here. Yeah, didn't answer that well, but
No, I love it. I love it. I mean, a lot of times too, like this day and age, we want to get super analytical and overthink things, but simple works. We're gonna have so many cat moments on this coach's corner. I love it. I love
oh
it.
yeah,
It's so, look at this guy.
take over. He's watching you.
I love
Uh,
it. So Rod, as a club coach, one of the things that I think we're facing with a lot of our interactions with parents is getting these kids to a point where they're able to swim collegiately. And the collegiate landscape has been tough the last few years because of added years for the COVID experience, and extra years of eligibility means smaller roster opportunities at a lot of Division I schools. But men's swimming in particular, there are not as many opportunities as there once were. What are you concerned about when it comes to college swimming?
well, we're in an environment in Irvine. The majority of our athletes, students are college bound. We have a lot of kids that go to Ivy League schools.
Mm-hmm.
So in past years, I don't think there's as much concern. Oh, you got to get a scholarship and that sort of thing. But we're fortunate with swimming that there's a place. If a swimmer wants to swim, there's a college for everybody. Division III, Division II, NAIA. So I only coach up to like 13, 14. So I'm kind of out of that when swimmers go to high school, they're out of my group. So I'm more focused personally on just, getting them to be the best well-rounded swimmer and planner and thinker as I can. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's there's always a school for everybody. I try to tell everybody that. I had one daughter who went to a big time swimming school, and I had another daughter who went to a big time swimming school, but it was a Division III big time swimming school, and she had a wonderful experience. So I always try to tell parents that if you want to swim in college, there's a place for you. We don't have to panic like there's not any spaces.
yeah, I agree completely.
For sure. So Rod, when you're not on deck coaching, what are your hobbies? What do you do? I think it's so important this day and age for coaches to have things that they do outside of our full-time jobs.
I like to travel. It's tough to do that while you're a coach, but I like, going visiting national parks, hiking. I've got 2 border collies that are Frisbee dogs, so I do that. I try to compete when that every once in a while, but usually those competitions are on weekends. We have our meets, so this year I think I'll make one of them. I like cycling and just getting out,
Well,
staying outside.
you picked a good town to live in for all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate.
I think I ate more sushi that week than I've eaten in a really long time. So many good spots.
Yeah, I should do more sushi. I haven't.
I found like 4 great spots.
Sushi is like the Costco little tray. I get that every once in a while, but
Well, Rod, thanks so much for joining us on the Coach's Corner. Wish you all the best this year. Have great success, and I look forward to catching up with you. And next time, I'm going to meet that dog.
yeah, it's usually the back 8 the junior national meets, because I'm I was an age group coach. Some of my former swimmers are swimming in that meet, but I'm not actively coaching, so they usually put me in back gate duty to that back parking lot and I sit out there with my 2 dogs. People who want to listen to this podcast will know that.
Yeah, for sure. We appreciate your time, Rod. Thanks so much. And this will be available on both the Fitter and Faster platform and on YouTube and Spotify. So feel free to share. And look forward to seeing you again, Rod.
Yeah. See you this summer.
All right.